So we all come into our lives, or we come into a stage of our lives where we realize that the friendship is no longer good for us. The family members that we love and have known us since we were four, since we were everything to them, we realize that they're not good for us. We realize that no matter how many Christmas presents or birthday gifts or birthday events or family gatherings that we have with certain family members, they're just toxic. It doesn't matter how many times you prayed, how many times you have confronted them, how many times you have asked for respect, they still choose to disrespect you. And this is for this is for people who've really gone through it in terms of what do you do next now that you have exhausted all your human compassion and ability to reconcile with toxicity. This is a video that will speak about this from a point of economical change, from a point of identity change, and a point of social enhancement and social deconstruction of what no longer serves you. And for those who are new here, my name is Bianca. I definitely want you to check out my videos on the art of unbecoming. This video will be about the art of unsubscribing. We are in a world of the world as we know it is an economy of subscription. We are subscribing to people, places, and things monthly, financially, emotionally, sexually, physically, you name it. And sometimes it gets very toxic to a point where we just no longer want to subscribe to what is not good for us emotionally, physically, mentally, and so forth. We also are in a world of attachments where we attach ourselves to longevity. We attach ourselves to years of commitment, to people, places, and things. We attach ourselves because we have history with them. So we attach ourselves to history, right? And what happens when the history of our journey is no longer fulfilling us and it's no longer helping us to create new realities and new adventures for ourselves and for the people we meet along the way? What happens when we're still holding on to people that are shaming us and reminding us of who we once were every single day? I also want to say that this is something that I've had to do. Uh, I've had to do as a form of discipline. I had to do as a form of guidance, spiritual guidance. I've had to do this also for my own well being. I have lived with people, and it's very sad. I've lived with people who literally hated me. They did not want me to become anything in life. They, in fact, enjoyed my strife. I've lived with aunties that constantly were so insecure that they only felt secure if I was suffering. I lived with boyfriends who were, I didn't live with them, but I was with boyfriends who were so jealous of anything that I had, and they found a mission like family members to find a way to destroy me, destroy my confidence, and destroy my identity. And so I'm sharing this from an art of pain because I realize that we are living in a world where some people just cannot and they do not want other people to be free. They do not want other people to learn more about themselves. And this concept also comes from the growth and the understanding of metamorphosis. We were all once a caterpillar growing up, and that meant we lived with a bunch of other caterpillars in the tree, the tree of life, right? But not everybody started going in a cocoon in the place of transformation, in a place of hiding for growth. And just like a butterfly, right? A butterfly has an effect of change in its life. A butterfly literally has to transition from being a caterpillar walking on the surface of life, surface or the bottom of everything, to a point of it being able to fly and see new perspectives. But even with that, the butterfly cannot take its whole family of caterpillars with it. And this is why cutting ties is your highest form of self love. If you are to evolve in such a version that is really good for you, really good for your identity, really good for humanity as well, because that's what we are. We are here to evolve. We are not here to um, silence, destroy, and control people. That is not what we're here to do. We're all here to really become our versions of our best selves. But in order to do that, we have to really unbecome and deconstruct and really unsubscribe to channels and to people and to places that are not good for our well being. So, in this video, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the weight of invisible anchors, which is the reason for cutting ties. A lot of people like to create narratives, or a lot of people believe that blood is thicker than water. And they will tell you over and over again, even if you have a very, very toxic relationship with your own parent, be it your mother or your father, they will tell you over and over again, no, you must always love them, you must always be with them. You know, blood is thicker than water. And that's right, that's true, right? But what happens every time you try and console this relationship? Does it not suffocate you? Does it not limit you energetically too? If I could tell you half of the things that happened in my life that actually suffocated me in such an invisible anchor, you would understand where I'm coming from, where why cutting ties is important. Because no matter how much of blood is thicker than water, or they are your family, they are your friends, you've known them since you were young, no matter how much prescription or prescribed society written formulas of keep having them in your life, those are the weights that we carry. To those, I mean, those are the weights of invisible anchors that are chained to you. And that's why certain people cannot move. They cannot evolve because they are chained to so much that's so invisibly unseen. And I think I'll talk more about that. But this one specifically is why cutting ties is your highest form of self love. If you know deep inside your heart that where you are right now is not your full version, for example, the caterpillar analogy, right? We know that we are around people who just do not allow us to really tap into our potential, to really become the best version of ourselves, to really range free because they are so scared of A, B, and C, to the point where they project that towards us and we start sitting there and saying, you're right, no, let me not try that idea, let me not try that business, let me not move abroad, let me not break up with that person because they provide this for me or they this. Those are invisible anchors I'm speaking about, and those carry a lot of weight to who we are meant to be in this world. So it's very important to recognize this, to recognize how digital clutter, it's digital, it's spiritual, it's personal, it's familial, family, it's friends. Recognize how these outdated commitments are no longer servicing you. They're actually invisible tax to your well-being. Notice how it also affects your cognitive energy and your cognitive being, your way of thinking. If I look back now and look at the people that I've cut out in my life, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that I've cut out a lot of people. It's a lot of loss, of course, and it was a lot of grievance, to know that I have to separate from toxic aunties that really want to wish death and pain on me while still being near me, as well as family members who want to siphon my energy but still want me to be destroyed. It's a painful experience to realize that we have people in our lives as blood members, bloodlines, that are constantly working against our personal growth and our fulfillment and potential of who we truly can be as a butterfly in the society and reality and within our identity. So, why I love this analogy of butterflies so much is, like I said, once a butterfly has gone into the cocoon, of of that transformation. It's very painful. It's very gooey. And if you know the life process and the life cycle of a butterfly, it's beautiful when you see the transformation and the ending of that. But the journey of really coming as a creepy crawly, you started life like a baby crawling and you were with more of the moths, I mean, sorry, not the moths, you were more with the worms because that was the environment, right? Of where you learn, where you live, where you eat all together to survive. But now here's your moment of transformation where it is sometimes beyond your expectation and it's sometimes beyond your family and your father's and your parents' expectations. But here you come and you start getting opportunities that are different from your society and your well-being, and you have to do things alone, you have to transform alone, you have to grow alone, you have to explore life alone. That is the cocooning of phases, right, where you have to go through things alone, the most challenging things alone, and that within itself creates an evolution of elimination. And I love this because Erica Badu mentions this in an interview where she says, if you have to, when you evolve, you have to eliminate. You have to eliminate in order to evolve. And this is a very painful experience, and you can see it within life, like the butterfly. In order to evolve, you have to be in isolation, you have to be in a space of aloneness, right, like a cocoon. And in that cocoon, it's really, really intense, it's painful. You have to really go through the gooiness, the heartbreak, the heartache, the betrayal, realizing that your family can't save you, realizing that these anchors that you once knew are no longer good for you, unsubscribing to your whole life, your whole old life. That's part of the butterfly effect. But realizing at the end of that cocooning energy or the cocooning phase, the transformation is beautiful. Learning how to fly for the first time, learning how to explore a different world that you've never seen in your childhood, learning how to make other friends with other butterflies as well, or other family members. I love this because when I look at myself now, I'm very proud. Like I keep saying, I'm really proud because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort to be honest in this journey of unbecoming and unsubscribing. So that is the first thing, is to recognize the weight of invisible anchors, the chains that really chain you into a version that you never assigned yourself to be. In another video, I also spoke about the Cinderella theory, which is very, very personal and very, very sensitive and very, very painful. When you live in a world or when you live in a family that is trying to chain you into the ashes of pain and in trying to rewrite your script or rewrite your identity to a version of dirt and a version of limitation, when you're actually beyond that, and when you realize that you need to actually you need to unbecome, you need to get out of the house first and foremost and explore a different person and explore a different it's a lot to take in, but I'm basically sharing all of this with you because I've gone through it. And so everything that you hear from me is things that have worked well for me and things that I do believe can help you, especially if you're in that journey of transforming into your own butterfly, right? So, yeah, recognize the heaviness of invisible anchors, but also analyze the psychological cost of keeping doors open that you no longer intend to walk through. Because, like I said, we have links to family, we have links to old friendships, we have links to aunties, mothers. These are doors. You know very well that this door needs to close, but it's very challenging. It is very challenging to close certain doors. And trust me, I know it's challenging, but sometimes you even get guidance from the universe. You even get signs from movies. You even get signs from music songs, when they start singing, it's over, these are moments where you cannot keep doors open. And some doors where I notice that people find really hard to let go of is doors of exes. When suddenly your ex comes back and you've had that. That's why the word X is such a name itself, because that X was your experience. You already know the journey of that experience. However, when doors and X's and experiences come back, we kind of want to go back there because it's why they're familiar, right? Those doors are familiar. We've walked through them before. We know them. We've knocked there before. Sometimes you don't even knock, it's already open. But now here comes the point of discipline, of unsubscribing. Once a door you have decided no longer is good for you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's important to keep that door shut, no matter what. Because if you keep entertaining, going back into that containment of entering those doors, how are you going to fulfill and how are you going to break ties? And how are you going to rise up and respect yourself and to be the version and potential of a butterfly in your life? This is not for the weak. It's not for the faint-hearted. And this also continues into your habits. It continues into your addictions. It continues into your ways of thinking, entertaining habits of obsessiveness or entertaining habits of addiction, smoking, weed. Those doors also sometimes need to be closed, especially when you've reached a point of no return. So recognize that and analyze the cost of why it's important to keep these doors closed, because if you do not, they still create an invisible anchor. They create a chains around you. And no matter how forward you go or how forward you want to keep going, you keep going back 5 times. Why? Because some doors are opened in your life. And like I said, the defining unsubscribing and defining the terms of unbecoming is really, really important to the well-being of transformation and of really knowing who we are. Um, these are sacred choices. Not everybody's strong to do what I've done, and I've had to learn to realize that as I had to cut cords between toxic friends and people. Some people were not even just toxic. Some people were just not. We just could not. You know, I need to make it clear. Not everybody or everything needs to be toxic in order for us to cut ties for it. Sometimes we're just not in alignment at that moment. Sometimes we just need a break. Sometimes we just need to move into our own worlds, right? But like the butterfly, once you become a butterfly, you can no longer chill in the same hood of worms, in the same hood of caterpillars. Imagine you're flying, you have wings now, you've seen the world, you have gone through the dark night of the soul, the ashes of your pain, just to bounce back again. And you want to chill back into the same place and space that has never ever showed you grace. You want to say, hey guys, look what it looks like being a butterfly. And truly, that was me. Hey, look, I've done this, I've done that. I want to show you, I want to hook you up on this. Do you not think that they want to bring you down even more? Because that's the gravity that they live in for sure. That is the level that they're in. Now you're trying to raise that frequency and you're trying to make everybody fly when they don't want to fly. So that was the reality for me where I realized some people just do not want to change. And even family members, some people create their identity through suffering. Some people create their identity through hardship. That's their identity. Some people enjoy suffering, and some people actually enjoy misery. So it's very important to realize why cutting ties is your highest form of self love, because you can't help people if you cannot help yourself. And that is a very, very important thing to realize. And when you start creating the art of unsubscribing. When you start unsubscribing and cutting ties, you realize that it's sacred work. You know, you go into the secret place, you go into the hiding place, you go into a cocoon place, you isolate. Every hero's journey has gone through that. They've had to be alone. They've had to, what's the word? I keep forgetting it. They had to retract. They had to analyze everything, who they are, how much of them is them, and deconstruct. So this work is definitely for those that are really curious into why this is important. And that is it. I'm going to maybe do a part two, but um, I've got the course of this, so do watch out for that. Um, and yes, always follow the oh my gosh, the analogy. I was going to say archetype. Do follow the archetype of the butterfly, because that is the reason why butterflies can no longer go back into the same area and environment of worms. They are no longer that. No matter how many times you can say, "Oh, I remember you when you were a little worm," blah, blah, blah. They are no longer that. And this is why it's so important to deconstruct the narrative of what people place you in, because a lot of people want to still anchor you into your past. But you're no longer your past. You do not breathe your past. You do not eat your past today. And so whenever somebody tries to anchor, "Oh, I remember you when you had no," you cut it off immediately, because that is not who you are. And when you cut that off, you also cut the ties off, you cut the doors off, and you realize that you're not entertaining old narratives in your new future self. So I'm going to keep this short, but I'm going to keep it in the same average space. Um, yeah, establish your high friction barrier for any new attachments to ensure future growth remains unencumbered. So in future moments, now that you've realized that you're cutting ties with family members and friends, it's very important that your next version of yourself comes in a form of realizing that whatever you do next in your new self, in your new journey, in your new career, in your new love life, in your new friend groups, realize that you need healthy attachments so that you can grow and you cannot be shaken by anything and anybody, and that you can also still be free from the invisible anchors that have tried so hard to not set us free. Yeah, and I will basically see you in the next video. Ciao.